Welcome to Fabulous Women Over 40, hosted by celebrity stylist Kara Allan. Join Kara as she interviews amazing women, sometimes younger and amazing men as well, in their 40s and beyond. Here's Kara with our Fabulous Woman of the Day.
Welcome back to Fabulous Women Over 40, where we celebrate bold reinvention, confidence at every age, and women who refuse to fade into the background. I'm your host, Kara Allan, personal stylist and luxury lifestyle strategist. Today's episode is all about owning your sparkle, rewriting the rules of aging, and proving that style, love, and joy have no expiration date. Our guest today is the one and only Adelina Winfield, affectionately known as Fly Granny. She is living proof that confidence gets better with time. Through her fearless fashion, unapologetic self-expression, and zest for life, she's inspiring women everywhere to step into their power at any age. So grab your coffee, your tea, or your champagne and get ready to be inspired. And let's welcome Adelina to the show.
Hi, Kara. Happy New Year. And thank you so much for having me on.
I'm so excited we finally get to do this. It's been a work in progress, but we finally got here, so I'm excited.
Yeah. And the year went by so fast. I mean, we were talking about it and then poof, the end of the year.
It's so true. It's so crazy. And I think as we get older, time just, it's like a blink. Like you know, I remember being a kid and being like, oh, this takes so long. Everything takes so long. You turn around and it's like 2 weeks later. Like, what happened?
Right?
So crazy. So tell me, if your life had a theme song right now, what would it be?
Well, I love Sly and the Family Stone, and I really love that song, If You Want Me to Stay.
Yes, I love that.
Great groove.
And I know one of the things I love to do is have a dance break, like in the morning, you know, to kind of get my day going. Is that one of the songs that you play during your day, or is that just kind of like your theme song for in
Yeah,
general?
theme song, or if I'm like cleaning up and doing stuff, you know, I just feel like playing it.
Yeah, I get it. So what's one fashion rule that you happily broke once you became Fly Granny?
I think I'm not afraid to show my legs, you know, and I see like, and you know, I wear shorts.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really breaking a rule, but it's like the rules that people put out there for women over 50, 40, 50 that you shouldn't wear shorts. And I'm wearing
Yes.
shorts. You know? So I'm showing my legs and I'm okay with it.
I bet they're wonderful. It's funny because I notice that a lot when I'm out. You know, you can't turn it off. You know, I try, but it's like seeing great art, right? You see people who look amazing in their hair, or they're just whatever. And I notice women who have great legs all the time. And I don't know if they know that, or you know, and I don't sometimes I feel okay saying it to them because I don't want them to think it is weird or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm like, man, she's got some great legs.
Yeah.
It's a cool thing. So what's an unexpected compliment that you've received lately?
Unexpected. Oh, kind of lately. A friend of mine who's in theater told me, she goes, you have a good voice for voiceovers. So, you know, I never ever considered that, you know, because she looks at my videos and stuff like that. And I do voiceovers on them just because.
Mhm.
And
That's true.
yeah, and then she said that and I was like, oh, she goes, you should consider it. And I'm like, oh, maybe. So that
Yeah,
was really unexpected.
it's true, and you should do them. I've done some here and there, and it can be pretty lucrative. So the
Yeah.
same. I don't know if you've ever been in an elevator. It's the same lady in any state in any building. I think she's got the whatever you call it. She's got the mark on all of the elevators in the world because
Yeah.
same lady every time I get in that elevator.
Yeah, but you know what really struck me when she said that is because, you know, we're our own worst critics. So I never, you know,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm too nasally or too this, too that. So I was like, oh, you know, it was an interesting compliment. And yes, we are our own worst critics.
It's true, and you hear your voice in your head all the time, right?
Mhm.
You know, so it's like, but then when people tell you, you're like, oh, okay, that works. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. So take us back. When, and where did you get the name Fly Granny?
Okay, well, being a child of the 60s and the 70s, everybody was fly back then. Super,
No, that's true.
super fly, because I have people saying, what does fly mean? I mean, by now, a lot of people know what fly means. But when I first started doing it, I would get, what does fly mean? Are you flying airplanes? And it's like, no, it's just a way of dressing that came back from the 70s. And then, we kind of brought it back with hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I came into my, mature years, I just kept using it. And, now that I'm a granny, I want to stay fly. So
Yeah.
hence Fly Granny came about.
How many grandchildren do you have?
2 right now. Yeah.
Oh, how old are they?
One is going to be, oh my God, 14, and the other one is 9. And how many do you have? You have quite a few. I'm sorry, you're asking the question.
It's crazy. I don't know how that happened. I know how it happened, but I don't know how that happened. So my oldest one is 9, and then they fall underneath that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. You never expect to be there I call myself a grandma.
Yes, absolutely.
And, and they call me Mimi.
Yeah.
Do they call you Granny or they call you something else?
Call me Yaya.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So
like that.
fun. And I miss them because, they're in New York and I'm here in Arizona. I only get to see them on FaceTime, or when they visit, they came in the summer, some holidays. So, yeah.
Yeah. All of mine, well, 3 of them live with me, and then the other 2 live right up the street with my parents and my other daughter. So I'm not looking for the day where they do move away and I don't get to see them every day.
Yeah, what a blessing to see them right there.
Yeah. My grandmother was really important in my life, so I'm happy to be able to be part of their lives too.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So how did people in your life react when you started stepping into this bold, stylish version of yourself?
Interesting, because it all started when I embraced my gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
So late 2018, 2019, actually my son had been saying all along, probably in my mid 50s, he was like, Ma, just let your hair go gray. Because I was dyeing it. It had come to like every 3 weeks. And it was just, I'm doing it myself. Or if I go to the salon, it costs more and you're going every couple of weeks. So he said, why don't you embrace it? Bring out your inner storm, like Halle Berry.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not ready. It literally took me almost 5 years of just thinking about it. And finally I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then end of 2019, I did it. And then I took a trip to Italy, and my gray hair was coming out about that much, and I put gray braids in because I was still kind of on the fence. And then the gray braids, I was like, oh, I think I like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, that got a lot of attention. People were like, oh, it's really nice. So anyway, I said, okay, I can do this. And then I grew my gray hair out and became a part of the Silver Sister community. And then the rest of history. First, I was just chronicling, the grow out. And then what happened during COVID, nobody could get to the salon. So everybody was going silver.
That's true.
And everybody was on Instagram. So that's how, that all happened.
That's so cool. And it looks amazing on you. I mean,
Thank you. I was afraid.
So how did your hair care routine change? Because I know like once your hair goes gray, it's a little bit more coarse sometimes, or it gets a little thicker. It's different from your, your normal, not normal, but like your regular hair when it loses the pigment. How has that changed, or has it changed?
It changed a bit because I can no longer use any product that has color. Like if it's yellow, I used to use this stuff called, oh my God, I forget the name. Something of nature in my hair, nature's blessing, something like that. And green. So, you can't put things like that. I have to use clear or white products. And then if the hair turns brassy, you use purple products or, toners. So that can happen if you do too much heat, or anything like that. But like
Mm-hmm.
I said, the most notorious thing is even oils you put in your hair, if they're like a little yellow tint,
Mm-hmm.
it'll make your hair look blonde. So that, yeah, so the purple shampoo, probably a little more conditioning, but generally it's not way more coarse the way I remember my aunties back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
When they had their gray hair, their hair looked really coarse, but mine, it's okay. I manage it.
Do you use heat on it still, or do you
I
use
do.
it? Okay.
I do. I roller set and then
Mhm.
use either a flat iron or curling iron.
Okay. Yeah, because I've found that I've had to, since I started going through menopause, yay,
Yeah.
perimenopause, whatever the heck you want to call it, whatever state it is, my hair got a little bit dry. And
Mm,
so then couldn't use the heated stuff as much because it started frying my hair, and I was just like, so it ends up like this a lot because it's a lot,
yeah.
big
Yeah. And
change.
your texture changed then, with it.
Yeah, and it's so I'm like, should I just cut it or like do I just try to let it grow out? I don't know. I'm like sort of stuck, and I haven't seen my hairdresser yet, so well, I'll go with whatever he says because I grew it out a couple years. It's been 3 years now, from like a Halle Berry cut to basically it's like about here on my shoulder, and so now I'm like, I might have to give up the length depending on how far the damage goes.
Mm-hmm.
Women problems. What do you say?
Right. Right.
So, what's one misconception people have about aging that you love proving wrong?
Oh, man, you know that saying over the hill. And what's over the hill? 40? Well, we're way over it, waving high, right? I mean, um, I just think once you hit, for me, my 60s are way more peaceful than my
Mm,
earlier decades were, I guess
mm,
as a grandma. And then, you're living in my 50s, I was getting a divorce, I was going through menopause, I was, was just,
a
my
lot
kiddos,
happening.
empty nester, just everything happening at once. Um, so by the time I hit 60 and beyond, everything kind of settled, and I'm looking back at the younger years. But it doesn't mean that it's over because I kept reinventing myself and
Hmm.
trying new things because
Right.
menopause can knock you for a loop, but you have to have result. There's a lot more help today. There's a lot more therapies today, but it's not the end. And no more periods. Yay. So
That's the one bonus, for sure. But it's been an interesting thing, and I don't know if did your mom ever talk to you about menopause?
no, they didn't really talk to us about anything. She didn't
Yeah.
talk to me about my period. Like my friends and I would huddle. I had a book, but no, back in the day, you're a little younger than me, but when we used to hear our parents talk about it, they referred to it as the change of life.
Hmm.
A change of life. And, that sounds kind of horrific, but
Right.
they didn't talk about it. That,
No.
so I don't remember her, she wasn't like one of these people who got really bad hot flashes, I don't think, or
Hmm.
symptoms.
Yeah, my mother didn't say much. I do remember her talking about hot flashes at some
Hmm.
point. Then
Hmm.
when I asked her about, what was her experience, she was like, I don't really remember. And I'm like, either it was so bad that you blocked it out, or, you had nothing, which is of no help to me. 'Cause I'm still over here trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And my friends are going through similar things. Like, it's just the hot flashes, you waking up feeling like you're sweating to death in the middle of the night, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a
I
little
think emotional stuff, if it hits you that way, I don't know about that's where it hit me. I didn't get hot flashes, but all of a sudden I wasn't this like unperturbed, peaceful things were bothering me more. So I noticed,
crazy.
but I took some supplements that were helpful.
Yeah. I
'Cause,
feel like that too. Like if I get upset, if somebody annoys me, I feel like this little slow boil starts coming up. Like, oh my God. Like literally, I can feel, I'm like, am I turning red? Because that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm turning into a little demon right now. Like I'm about to wear somebody out.
Yeah, where before you were like, whatever. Now it's like, really? Did you really just do?
Yeah, like on 10 and like 0 to 100 in 10 seconds. It's like, it's bad.
But there's light at the end of it. I'm good now. It's
Yeah.
days and
How long did it take you from your like start to finish of it?
oh man, I would say because mine started at 48, kind of
Mm.
early relatively, and then I think I finished around, I would say 55.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a good 7 years. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Man. Mm,
Something
yeah.
like that. But we do it. We deal with it.
I mean, what else you gonna do? There's no choice. There's no way, over it but through. You have to like deal with life just like most things. So, you
yeah.
know,
And
it is what it is.
a good gynecologist. I know we're going off on this, but you have to have a good gynecologist that will
It's
help
true.
you. Because sometimes, it's like, yeah. You're just going through. No, I need help now.
Pretty much. Yeah. I did start the patch and the pill and that did help.
Yeah.
And then it goes in phases though. I feel like maybe they need to up the prescription a little bit or something. I don't know. I'll check when I go back again, but it was helpful when I first started. So, how has your relationship changed over the years with your body? Like, when you were young and then you get to midlife and then you get to the other side, like how's that changed and how have you appreciated it more?
Appreciate my body more today, but it hasn't changed that much. I've been an accordion dieter for
Mm,
15 years because I was a little chubby kid. Then I went
mhm.
to high school and I got skinny, but my whole life has been like within 10 pounds. I try this. I do weight training. I do, now I'm
Yeah.
in classes, but I try not to let it go over the 10 pounds
Mhm.
because that's to me the danger zone. Today, for the first time in my life, now I put on some pounds because I've been like really eating and not caring over the holiday. I'm just like, I don't care. Life is short. I want to enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I don't recommend this, but I'm eating the chips. I'm eating this. I'm eating that. And I looked at myself. My pants were tight, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's because I was overeating. I'm not gonna get depressed about it. I'll just get back on track after
Yeah.
after my New Year's party or whatever, or Monday, whichever.
Whatever comes first. Yeah, because I mean, we have this. I don't know if for you, I think it's the same. Like you look in the mirror and you can tell when you don't look like yourself, and then it's like, oh no, like I haven't been getting enough sleep, or I didn't drink enough water, or I drank a little too much champagne, or something. It shows up right away. Whereas it before, in your 20s, you could do anything. You could go all night long, out, being in the street somewhere,
Right?
and then
And lose 5 pounds.
exactly. But I mean, for me, like when I hit 30, my metabolism was like skirt, and that was like the beginning of the end, But I could never gain weight before that. And my daughter, who's about to turn 30, she's like, I want to gain weight. I want to gain weight. I'm like, stop. Oh my God. But she's smaller than me. So like, she's like 90 pounds soaking wet. And it's like, she's trying to put on a little bit of weight because she wants to go into the Coast Guard, and it's like, it'll come when it's supposed to. Don't rush it, because then once you get it and then you can't get it off, then you're gonna be mad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's crazy. So, what role has style played in helping you feel confident and visible?
Good question. Well, I was a designer in New York for 30, almost 40 years. I was born and raised
Nice.
in New York City. So I
Okay.
worked for the garment business, and I always loved fashion and always loved
Mm,
style. And it's always been a part of me. So, I worked with companies like Guess. I did a lot of children's wear. So I worked with Guess kids. If you had girls, maybe
hmm
they wore some of the little jeans
Yeah.
that I was.
Love Guess.
Yeah, I did. When Rockaware was popular, hip hop, street fashion. I did
hmm
Rockaware girls. I did
Nice.
Echo Red. I don't know if you know the little rhino that was real popular back in the day. But, so my background has been in fashion.
hmm
So it never really left me. And then when I embrace the gray hair, what I do notice is that I'm more into color now. It kind of works really well with the gray. And then in New York, everybody wears black all the time.
Yes.
So I wore a lot of black during my designing years and living in New York. So what happened was after the gray, I started embracing brighter colors.
Mm-hmm.
So no longer afraid to be seen, just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because New York is for sure. What they're gonna do is wear black. But I see more. I mean, I haven't been in the last 6 months or so, but when I visit New York, it's like you see things. Yeah, you see things, and you're like, that would be weird anywhere else, but in New York, that's a normal thing. So, I feel like I love color. I was a bartender. I mean, I still am. You never really lose the skill, but and you have to wear black all the time, So it was just like, I like a good quarter of my wardrobe was black because I had to wear all this stuff. Once I found color, I just never left it. And then prints too, because at first I was scared of prints, and I was like, it's too much. And then now I love prints. I love prints more than I love solid color.
Yeah.
I think we evolve over time.
Yeah, and I love vintage too. I've been collecting vintage, I think, since I was about 15 or 16.
Nice.
A couple of pieces, dresses that were from the 40s. So I still have them. So they must be 100 years old now, right? Well, whatever the math is, they're old, like 1840s vintage print dresses.
Yeah.
Or during World War II. Yeah.
I loved the 40s because I feel like that the 40s and the 50s really showed a woman's body and like how it was very fitted. I mean, granted they probably wore corsets too that squeezed them in, but they really showed the woman's femininity, the colors, the prints, all that. I just loved the 40s, and trying to find, and there's some designers that are going back to that. I feel like Karl Lagerfeld does a good job with that kind of wearing or choosing or creating things that look like they were kind of vintage-y sort of, but with a modern twist.
Yeah.
At least that's my thought about it. But I also had my dad's cousin who was a designer in New York, and when I was telling him I was, I don't know, I think a size 2 or 4 or something, he's like, well, you would be a 6 like in back in the day. And I was like, well, great, thanks for that. But he was saying, over time how our society has gotten bigger, and there's sometimes when you find vintage stuff you can't fit it even if you wanted to because they were so much smaller then.
It's true. The waistline was so tiny. But how glamorous was the 50s? How glamorous was everybody?
Yes.
And women just out in the streets with hats on, looking good. Not going to the airport in pajamas. All right, nothing wrong with you do, but it just looks nicer. Everybody kind of ready for travel.
Well, and you mentioned Italy too, and I spent some time in Italy, and I was just so impressed about how people walk around beautiful all the time, very well put together, but understated chic. They have all the access to all these amazing Italian designers, but they're kind of, can I say that? They're not label whores like the Americans are. They might have on a Hermes belt, but everything else you wouldn't know what it was because it's very understated. And I so appreciated that about them. They don't, if they go to the gym, they go in their street clothes and go in there and work out, and they come back out in their street clothes. They don't come schlepping around their sweatpants and all that stuff. And they always have great shoes and bags.
The best leather, so that's really nice.
It's amazing. Anyway, we don't want to. I'll go off a tangent on that. One thing I learned from my mentor Stacey London is she said it takes as much time to dress sloppy as it does to dress nice. It just takes a little bit more thought and care. But why not dress nice? It's not hard. So, anyways,
I noticed that mostly in New York. Going back to New York, people tend to dress up. Then when I moved to Arizona. And then I moved to Austin, Texas too. And I went to church and I was like overdressed. Everybody had shorts and flip-flops on. And I was like, and then out at church.
That's wild.
Yeah, yeah. And then out here in Arizona is very casual too, to wear jeans and stuff to church. So sometimes I just still dress up because I feel like putting on my Sunday best,
Exactly. I mean, that's part of our culture for sure. Speaking of that, do you dress how you feel or how you want to feel?
Oh boy, that's a good question. How you want to feel. You know what? I never really considered that because I look at stuff and I'm like, I feel it from looking at it, but not creating what I want to feel. I like that. So I dress how I feel.
Yes.
But I like that concept.
Yeah, that's one thing that I talk about with my clients is dress for number one, who you're going to see, what you're going to do, and how you want to feel. So, consider those three things when you're picking something out for the day, because my thought is I always want to feel like a goddess. So I'm always in a dress more than likely because it's easy to put on. All I have to do is add accessories and I'm just sort of floating along in my day. So it's like, how do I want to feel today? Am I sexy goddess? Am I fun goddess? Am I, whatever, cute goddess, however it is. So that's kind of how I come up with that. And I was always just curious about how other people pick their clothes. Is it just based on how you feel, or if you're not feeling that great that day, or you feel like maybe the weight showed up a little bit and you're like, I don't feel great about this, but I'm gonna be, I'm gonna show up pretty anyway.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a nice thing to kind of project into the future, because I really haven't given it that much thought like that. It's like, okay, I'll either plan what I'm going to wear for an event, but I didn't think about wearing it so I could feel,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
Love it.
just an extra little thought when you're getting dressed.
Yeah. Love it.
So what advice would you give women who feel like they've aged out of fashion or fun?
Well, aged out being what age? Like 40, 50 or whatever?
In general, because you know how they'll say, well, like you were talking about with your legs earlier, like, oh, women over whatever age shouldn't wear short skirts or crop tops or this or that. I see a lot of people get heat on social media for this one lady I see all the time is always wearing super short stuff. And not all of it's appropriate in general. That has nothing to do with age. It's just like, why wear your pants?
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, as long as she had on something that, sorry, my phone didn't go off, is, appropriate for just where you're going. Like if you're in your house, who cares? But, you're walking down the street and you're not at the beach. Why are you wearing something where your bum is out? You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. So I would say, going back to the previous, wear what you feel, what feels comfortable. And as we get older, we do want our clothing to feel comfortable. We don't want to wear things where we can't walk, but yeah, definitely wear what you feel. And then maybe if you were working in a very conservative office kind of space, you never had time to explore your own real personal style because you were just work attire.
Right.
So now's the time to find yourself again, like you wear prints and try new things.
Yeah.
So I would just say, make sure it feels good. And, you can ask a friend how it looks too.
Yeah. Honest friend, and also one who actually likes you. Let's just say.
Right.
So let's talk about love. How has dating changed for you over the years from your 40s to 50s to 60s?
Changed a lot. I mean, I was married for 16 years and got a divorce, and I was in my mid 50s, right? Mid 50s. But it was such a crazy relationship. I had kind of like a, bad taste in my mouth. But then I was like, you know what? I still feel fly. So I want to have some kind of connection to someone. And I went online, and it was the first time. And it was a little bit frightening because, I come from the generation of, oh, hey, can I take you to dinner? Or, meeting somebody or being introduced to somebody,
Right.
or running into somebody in the supermarket, finding them
Right.
attractive,
Organically.
go out on a date. That doesn't happen now. So, I figured, let me go online. So I was online for about 4 years off and on. I kept changing my profile. I kept changing the companies, the services, the different sites rather.
Mhm.
Trying this one, trying this one. I tried Christian Mingle. I tried Our Time and this and that. But
We lost her.
some women really get frustrated, like when they get online. They want to know how did I meet my husband, which we met online. And when I tell them, they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Well, the chances of meeting somebody randomly today are kind of slim. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But if you really want to have a relationship, you have to open, all doors and possibilities. So I did that. It was scary at first. Then I got used to it. Then I was able to pick out the scammers. And then I was able to be like, take a break. Oh, what happened?
I think we lost. I don't know if it got froze or what happened.
I was yapping away and you were just gone. So.
Okay, take two.
I don't know at what point.
I think you had just started talking and it was like, nope.
Okay. And
about how you went online and that's how you met. You were dating.
Yeah. I went online. Probably I was around 55, and it was scary, because I hadn't dated online before. We just met people organically, through friends or whatever. So I went online, and the first day, he was really nice. I just wanted to do coffee. That's all I wanted. I don't know you like that, but talking, and he insisted, let's go to dinner. And he had a lovely situation set up. We had a drink at one place, we had tapas at another place. But by the time we had dinner, I wanted to run out of there. That's why I recommend just going for coffee. But that didn't work out. And then I kept trying. I didn't give up. But I was literally online for 4 years off and on. So I don't want the women out there to figure like they're going to meet the man of their dreams on the first, second, or 10th date. You have to, give it time. So,
yeah. And what platforms were you on?
I was on Christian Mingle. I was on Our Time. Match.com was good. I recommend the paying ones because the free ones, well, that's what you're going to get. that's what you're going to get, free ones. And then I went on interracial dating, which is how I met Dave. And some of the other ones, there were a few other ones that I can't remember, but my favorite one back then was Match. I felt Match had better matches. But there's new ones now. There's Bumble. There's all different kinds.
Yeah. They were never my favorite.
No, it's not for everybody. But
yeah, I only met maybe 2 people. No, one person in person. And then one person, we talked for like a month and I never saw him, which was weird. But the one person, when I was bartending in a hotel, he came to the bar, but he doesn't drink. So he was just sitting there forever. And I'm like,
he didn't have anything to say?
No, and I'm working too, so it's not like I can entertain you. It was busy, especially it was happy hour time frame, and it's just like, but it's like he didn't catch the hint of like, okay, maybe we should do this another time, when I can actually talk and you don't drink, so you're just sitting for hours. So it was just kind of weird, and I was just like, okay, I'm good on this. I mean, I tried it in different spans of my life, but it never rang how I wanted to meet people. So maybe that's why it didn't work, because I just was like, meh, I don't think I'm going to meet anybody in here but, weirdos. So
there are a lot of those, there are a lot of weirdos.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of men get on there because maybe they're not great socially, and so they can be whoever they want behind a camera, but then when they meet in person, a lot of times their social skills are not great.
Yeah. I'm hearing that. So you have to kind of weed them out. To me, I can kind of tell by their email message,
True.
sometimes, but still,
So yeah, people. I mean, it's weird. I think people are used to texting more, so they're kind of good in that kind of conversation. But in person conversation, not so much. You're like, where was that person I was talking to on the? Not here.
But I don't want our ladies to give up, because I met my husband online. Although it took 4 years, like I said, off and on, off and on, people kind of, get discouraged.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, okay, if I meet him, I meet him. But in a lot of cases for me, it was entertainment, because
Yeah.
let me see what he has to say,
Yeah.
And then let me share this one thing that was a little devastating. So I went on when I was 55. And then there's categories like 35 to 55 or 45 to 55. And then it goes 55 to 65 or whatever, people can search you by your age.
Right.
So at 55, I was getting a lot of hits, a lot of messages. And all of a sudden, when I turned 56, no lie, crickets, because now I was in the 55 to 65 category, age category.
Yeah.
I think, it's like, oh, because they have your birthday, and it'll just roll over. So it's just a phenomenon that I was like,
That's interesting. So how many years in did you meet your current husband?
I met him after 4 years online.
Okay, after 4. Yeah. Okay.
3 years online.
Yeah, and so how did you know he was the one?
Well, we were actually long distance for a while, because I was living in Austin, Texas. He was living in California.
Okay.
And he came to visit me because I was trying to end the relationship, because we were just talking and we video chats. And that's another thing, when we were just messaging and talking on the phone, because his picture wasn't the greatest on his profile. And I tell him that now all the time, because we laugh that photo. But it's a good thing, because, I got him and nobody else did.
Yeah, we weeded out people who would have snagged him. That's
when we started video chatting, I was like, oh, he's kind of cute, So we were actually dating for talking for a good 6 months or so. And then he came out to visit me in Austin, because I was moving back to New York, because my kids were potentially going to, they were separating, and I'm like, oh my God, the grandkids need me there.
Yeah.
So, I called him up and I'm like, you know what, I'm moving back. This doesn't make sense. I'm moving further away, from California. So this doesn't make sense. Let's just call it a day. So he said, well, why don't I come visit you before you go? And, if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. So that was a plus. Ding, ding, ding. He was willing to come check it out and see, who invests like that? Not everybody will want to do that, to invest time and money, and you don't know what the outcome is. So that was a plus. And then we really hit it off. It was really nice.
Nice.
So kind of knew, sort of had that feeling. Then I moved back to New York, and we were dating online back and forth. I would visit. Yeah.
Nice. So what do you know about relationships now that you wish you knew when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s?
Okay, another good question. What I definitely know now is to be more discerning, of character.
Right.
Are you laughing?
Yes.
Not so caught up with the physical, how they look or whatever.
Right.
Also, not to be in a rush, because you find out about people, and I don't know. There's quite a few things with when a relationship is working. I think that now I know how to allow another person to be who they are. So I've learned to not tolerate, but understand another person's personality and that they're not going to change, and this is who they are. You get what you get. And when you're younger, you want to fix people, you want to change people. So I said this to my son and he thought it was so profound. I was telling him while he was having relationship issues, it is weathering the storms of another person's personality. And I think that's important because other people don't deal with things the way you do. And that's what we get upset about that. It affected me this way. It didn't affect you this way. Well, they're not, everybody's different. So that's something that I learned, and that has settled me to have different expectations. I don't know if I'm being clear on that.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so what advice would you give women who they want love, but they're kind of afraid to put themselves out there again? Maybe they had a divorce like you did or a bad relationship, and they're just like, meh.
Yeah, and I understand that. Number one is to heal first, heal your heart first, heal your emotions first, because I don't know, what your past relationship was. Mine was crazy. I had a person living a double life. I was with him for 16 years and just turned out to be like, who is this? So so you have to heal yourself, heal your heart, heal your soul, and be honest with. Some people are perfectly fine not having another relationship. Beautiful. But for those that do want another relationship, definitely open yourself up, because if your guard is always up, nothing can come through. Another person's energy can't come through if you're always like, worried or, thinking negatively. You have to be open to the new things, and also not be afraid. Put yourself back out there. If you be honest with yourself, if you really want a partner, it be intentional. Like I know you were, Kara, intentional. And what a blessing it happened for her. You can't give up. You can't go out with one guy and go, it's not true of everybody, right? Am I right?
It's true. Yeah. I had a friend, you mentioned something earlier too, who every person, she tried to make them the one. And I was like, stop doing that. Like you're putting too much pressure on yourself and that person to perform or live up to these expectations, and then you're always disappointed, and then you don't want to go back out there because you feel like but like you said, you have to heal from whatever it might be, not even from a bad relationship, something childhood trauma that we didn't deal with, because you're still attracting from that lens or whatever it is, and then you're the only common denominator from people that are showing up. You know what I mean? So you got to work on those things. And also, I always told her, I was like, you should look at dating like a buffet. Like today I want chicken, tomorrow I want shrimp, Wednesday I want steak, and Thursday I can say no thank you, I don't want anything. And I always used to keep a pair and a spare, because that kept me from getting attached to any one person. Just dating, not sleeping with everybody, just dating. Like I want to go out with this person and spend a little time getting to know them, spend a little time with this person getting to know them, and then that way I was never like fixated on any one person at one time until I made a decision, or until me and that person one of those people came to a decision to say, oh, I think we can work out, and let's try to work on that with just us.
I like that. And that's why I recommend coffee dates, because it's just coffee. You can get up and leave. You can just, I don't think we're a match, thank you. The guy doesn't feel like he spent all this money on dinner and you're running, but the coffee dates make light of it,
True.
That's all it is. So I agree with you. Not everybody's going to be, your husband right away. Just like relax, look for a friend, probably than anything.
And just really listen to people, because for what they're saying and for what they're not saying, because there's a lot of stuff there, and you have to be able, like you said, not get stuck on how they look or if you're younger, what they drive or where they live or whatever, all the superficial stuff, even though that matters. Like, you want somebody who's stable financially. You don't want somebody who wants to come live with you. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, just maintain more of a neutrality about it. It might be a little hard, but that way you really get to know the person and you're not thinking, well, I don't know. You know what we think. You know how we are. We go down the rabbit hole and it's dark and full of terrors down there. And sometimes you don't find your way back out is the problem. And nobody's sending you a life raft, so you're going to be in trouble. But so, yeah, I mean, and then there were times where I just didn't want to date anybody. And I was just like, get out, get everybody, just get away from me. I've had enough.
That's part of healing too. Just being with yourself and being okay with being with yourself.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because if being able to be happy by yourself, not even like, you could feel like you want company, but you're not lonely. Like, you're okay being by yourself. When you get to that stage, that's probably when I got there, that's more or less where I was okay. I was like, if I don't get married again, if I didn't get married again, it's okay, whatever. When I got to that point, then I knew I was at a better place before, because I really wanted it, and then it was just like it wasn't working, and it was like trying to fit that round peg in that square hole, and it was like frustrating me and frustrating them, and it was just like, we need to just take a beat. Take a beat.
Yeah, and that's really important, because I had reached that point online where it was like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's why I hung in there for 4 years, because, I was definitely being picky.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think as we get to our golden years, or, our great years, I feel like that's where we really get comfortable in being with ourselves. And then, somebody else is just supposed to be an addition to it, not a completion. Right. If anything. Right. And that you want them to be a friend and a companion, but also somebody that you trust, because there's so much wild stuff going on out here. I don't have time for it. It's too much. You just like vampire sucker energy stuff, and you get it away from me. I don't want to be bothered. Well, we had such a great conversation. Is there anything you have coming up that you want to share with everybody?
Well, no, I'm just looking to travel to Europe again. I want to go to Bali. That's on my bucket list, and maybe Costa Rica. But this is a cute little thing that happened. My husband and I are on our neighborhood January magazine.
Oh, nice. That's so cool.
Fun, and it talks about how we found love in our mature years at 60.
Oh, so nice.
I want to encourage everybody. So this was fun.
Yes. And can you find that online? Can people find that online?
I don't think so, because it's local, but I can ask.
Okay, that would be great. And I can put that link in your episode so people can read it. Okay. That would be super cool.
Yeah, let me find out.
And so where can everybody find you on social?
Okay, so on Instagram, which is my biggest platform, is Fly Granny BK. I'm also Fly Granny BK on TikTok. I have a small following there. And I'm also on YouTube, The Fly Granny.
Okay. And everybody can follow you and follow your fabulous adventures and your style.
Yes, thank you.
I love that. Well, I had a great time, and I hope you did too.
So did I.
Thanks for joining me.
Healthy, prosperous, joyful new year.
You too. And everybody listening, thank you for joining us again on Fabulous Women Over 40, and we will see you soon. Ciao.
Thank you for joining us today. Please subscribe so you won't miss our next conscious conversation with Kara and her fabulous guests. Follow Kara on social, on Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Clubhouse, @Kara Allan, and connect with her on her website at karaallan.com. Also, leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again, and see you next time.